Green Bay hustle, grind it up. Hit the field, we don't bluff. Touchdown dances, feel the love. Jordan's got that MVP stuff. It's time for Ohio, let's go. Packers bringing that show. It's time for you know who. Wanna go, gonna glow.
Aloha and welcome back to another episode of the Ohana Packers Edition podcast. Today we are previewing the Packers as they go into their Thanksgiving game against the Lions, and this one is not quite for all the marbles because the Bears are still somehow ahead of at the head of the division, but this one is going to go a long way towards deciding who comes out on top of this thing, because the Packers have to play the Bears 2 more times. The Lions play the Bears 1 more time, but this is the last time the Packers and the Lions are going to face each other. And with the teams separated by that tie game, thanks Cowboys, because that's being the separator between these two teams, this is going to be one of those last, I don't want to say last, but this is going to be one of the bigger tests remaining on the Packers schedule. Both teams are coming into this with CVS length injury reports, but Packers, I think, might just by a hair be the healthier team. But Joe,
well,
off
here,
the
let me
bat,
hit the button. Don't forget, we got the button.
Excuse me! I'm in need of medical attention!
there's a lot of people on the Packers who unfortunately need that. But like I said, I think the Bears, I mean, not the Bears, the Lions actually have more. So granted, the Packers did not. They had a simulated practice on Monday. Tuesday was a walkthrough only, but your back-to-back DNPs were Carl Brooks, Lucas Van Ness, and Savion Williams. Brooks and Savion both have missed a bunch of practice time, but have still been able to play in the games throughout the season. I think Brooks almost looked like he was going to miss the game against Minnesota, but was able to play. Lucas, that one's a bummer. I know that like he had just come back, and there were different people who kind of said like, oh, it looked like he went off kind of like favoring a foot again. Didn't really distinguish if it was the same foot or a different thing, but
No, from what I've gathered, from what I've read, what I've heard, and stuff like that, he hasn't re-injured it. It just wasn't back to. He wasn't comfortable on it yet.
Okay. Well,
so, but I could be completely wrong. But that's what I was kind of gathering from everything, was it's not a re-injury, because LaFleur still said he's still day to day.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get to watch, so thanks. I'm glad you were able to give the context of LaFleur's presser, because that would be the one that stands out the most, especially again this Lions team. But we'll go through the rest of the Packers stuff. So your only upgrade was Keyshawn Nixon went from a DNP to a limited participant. It's a walkthrough. It's a stinger, so you're not going to learn too much from it, and they're going to probably have another walkthrough on Wednesday. But, you know, that's a positive trend for Nixon. And then your limited participants, laundry list of Bullard, Edge Cooper, Matthew Golden, Nate Hobbs, Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed, who is still not on the active roster, Zach Tom, Quay Walker, and Dontavian Wicks. So of those, I expect the guys who played last week to be able to go this week, but hopefully you're able to get Golden and Quay back this week. It would be absolutely huge to get those two guys back. If you can get Jaden Reed back this week, that would be phenomenal, but I'm not counting on it. It just feels too soon. The only reason I open it up as a limited possibility is the fact that they opened his window on a Friday, which is really weird when you think about it, especially with how earlier in the week LaFleur was like, oh yeah, we won't do it until he's like, you know, realistically close to being able to play. And then they go and open, you know, he said that on last week Wednesday, and then on Friday they're opening his 21-day window. So I agree with you. I heard your exasperation. I don't think Thanksgiving is a realistic opportunity.
It's not that. It's that everything that I keep hearing is everybody expects him to play Thursday. So I mean, all the podcasts I've listened to, which is of course limited, all the tweets that I'm seeing and stuff like that, it's like everybody is expecting Reed to play Thursday.
Yeah, and I'm a naturally pessimistic person, so I'm always
I
gonna
am
be
too.
projecting down.
I'm one of those I wait to see on everything, but like I
Yeah,
said, everybody seems to think Thursday is going to be his return.
yeah. Like I said, the only reason I even give it a possibility is the fact that he weirdly was not elevated, but opened his window on Friday, which you get him to do the like the shoulder pad walkthrough practice on Friday, see how he responds to that, and there's no contact. That's the only thing that I'm concerned about is he doesn't have a padded practice, and even that's not full contact anymore. But you're at least wearing all the gear, and you gotta go through the motions. See, with the collarbone, especially, you're seeing how that part of his body responds to having like the extra weight, the extra pads, and all that kind of stuff. The foot, I feel like, is fine at this point. I think that he's had the surgery, he's had the time off of it, so I don't think the foot is. I know he's going to be listed with it, but that's because he's coming off of a foot surgery. But yeah, like we'll see where like you said, the tea leaves are pointing one way, but we'll see what happens. They're going to
The
have
only
to.
thing that I can think of are people are equating that when Watson made his return, he did that whole video, like video montage, vignette. If you're a pro wrestling fan, and Jaden kind of did the same thing. So I think a lot of people are seeing that and saying, "Oh, well, we just got it with Watson. I'm one, it's got to be with Reed." So, and like I said, everybody seems to be optimistic about it, and I'm always one of those that I'm a wait and see type of guy. But that would be a boost if obviously it would be a boost if they could get him back for
Oh, it'd
third.
be an absolute boon, yeah. And then your double full participants are Dobbs, Jordan Love, and excuse me, and Christian Watson, which is really great to see on Watson's point. And then on the Lions side of things, Terrion Arnold is working his way back through concussion protocol. That'll be really interesting to see how he, with the short week. Brian Branch was updated to a full participant. Marcus Davenport, who will probably get injured during the game, is a full participant. The big ones to note are of the starting O line, Taylor Decker, limited participant, Graham Glasgow, DNP both days, Tate Ratledge, limited participant. He was injured during the game. Panay Sewell, limited participant, and I think Panay Sewell was questionable going into last week's game. And, he's probably going to have a designation. So the Lions' starting O line is dealing with injury. They're one of the rotational edge defenders in Josh Pascal downgraded to a DNP with a back issue today. Like I said, and the other big one is Campbell basically ruled out Kirby Joseph for this week. So on both sides of the ball, especially if the Packers can get Reed back as well, but Watson's getting healthier. Dobbs has stayed healthy. Wicks looks to be getting healthier. Hopefully, you're getting Golden healthier, and excuse me, and so you can attack them that way. Unknown if you're going to have Lucas this week, but we saw the uptick in snaps from Rashawn Parsons. Hopefully, Wyatt is turning the corner back to the guy he was, pre-injury against Dallas. You're seeing a little more explosiveness there. And if you're able to get Quay back on the field, you can blitz up the A gaps. You have the guys to run, especially if the Lions O line isn't super healthy. So, this is, it's always tough to go on the road on a short week, but for once, the injury situation seems to be favoring Green Bay. And like you noted in our Sunday show, the Lions played an extra period. I know it's 10 minutes, but they played an extra quarter on Sunday and have a short week following it. And the Packers have to take advantage of that. And, you come out, steamroll the Lions in week one. That game has kind of been forgotten because of how Green Bay has sort of gotten into they've hit the doldrums of the beginning of November. The Lions have looked tough in the subsequent weeks, but they don't have a win over a team with a winning record at this point. I believe that's or they have like a couple 500 wins or something like that. So their record's not looking too hot. Or I guess technically they have a win over a team that is in the playoff picture, and it's the Bears, ironically, of all teams. So, and at the time that wasn't the case, but you
They
see
got a
where.
win over Tampa Bay too.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're right. So, you know, they're still dangerous. They're still. I still think the however you want to view Green Bay, the Lions are the other best team in the division. The Bears are pretenders. If you go by a lot of the advanced stat stuff, like the whole, if you flip all their one possession games, what's their record? If you take a look at how many of their one possession games are like last second, last play, last drive kind of situations, that part of their record doesn't look very good. So, the Lions, they have blowouts. They haven't done super well against the other quote unquote true playoff contenders, but at the same time, this is still a dangerous team. They know they got embarrassed in week one, and this is something the Packers haven't done in several years, basically since 2021, where they haven't put one of these kind of teams out of its misery late in a season. Not that you're going to knock the Lions out of the playoffs or anything like that, but you get an extra game. You basically go up 3 games on them. If you'll go up 1.5 in the standings, but then you'll have beaten them twice in the division. They'll fall to 2 losses in the division, 3 losses in the division, because they lost to the Vikings 2 weeks ago. So this is a really important one. And like I said, in the areas where the Packers should want to be able to attack the Lions, Packers offense against the Lions defense, they should have some mismatches. And their defense against the Lions offense, they should have some advantages because the Lions are beat up at this point of the season.
Yeah, for sure. They, you know, and of course, like I mentioned for the Vikings game, it's a division game. It's a NFC North game. They always all teams play those harder than they do any other game. And they don't call it the black and blue division for nothing, because they beat the hell out of each other. But and I got to say, if Josephs isn't playing, then that saves a lot of the guys' knees. You don't have to worry about Watson getting re-injured or anything like that. But now, if Branch still plays, then you got to worry about him causing some kind of fight or whatever. But you know, it's tough. Now, there's one thing that I will say. I think a lot of the guys that they held out on Sunday are more likely to play Thursday, because I think that was how they planned it. Okay, well, Josh is having a little bit of issues. Let's not play him against the Vikings. Let's save him to play him against the Lions. Same way with Quay. I think Quay could have played, possibly, depending on how he's feeling. But
Yeah.
it's
Jacobs, I think, is the one that's definitively like you're absolutely spot on, where it's like it took so long for the knee swelling to go down last week, and then they were like, okay, if it took that much time for the swelling to go down in a full week, what's the chances it's going to go down in 3 days between Sunday and Thursday? The 3 days off between a Sunday and a Thursday game. So I definitely agree there. And Quay, it's a little, and same thing with Nixon. They're both kind of, Quay's a week earlier, but Stingers are one of those weird ones where it's like you can feel totally fine, and then you turn your head the wrong way, kind of thing, and it's like, shit, back at square one. Kind of hoping we see him,
man.
Yeah, hope we see him wear the butterfly, or no one wears the cowboy collar anymore, but see him put on the butterfly like young Nick Barnett used to wear and stuff. And
Mike's being PC by calling it the cowboy collar.
It literally says cowboy collar on the thing.
I know, but we used to call the neck rolls the donkey
No,
dicks.
no, because there was a neck roll, that one that looked like a croissant that you stitch on, that you screw onto your. But then there was the one that inserts through the shoulder pad, and it literally said cow. If you didn't pull your jersey over the top of it, it literally said cowboy collar on it. But no, the neck roll is the old William Henderson one. But we're dating ourselves. No one wears any of those anymore at this point.
I mean, I don't know why. I really don't.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if people have found that, whether, because it does limit your flexibility, it does limit your like range of motion to an
It
extent.
does, but think of how many times William
Oh
Henderson
yeah.
was dropped on his head and,
Oh
had
yeah.
no
Like,
issues because it protected like a neck collar.
I wore one as a receiver at one point. Like, that's how much of a difference it made. So yeah, like,
Yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see how, every half the game's about looking good and who's got the fit check and all that kind of stuff. But Packers got to do whatever they can to get as many of their guys out there on Thursday. And like I said, this is one. I said it about the Pittsburgh game. I said it about the Eagles game. So I'm 1-for-1 on saying this. But I don't really care how this game looks so long as they win and they come out no worse for wear than they were going into the game. And those are literally I know that's a lot to ask for, but at the same time, like, that's all I care. I don't care if they win by 1 or 21. Like, just win this game and get out as unscathed as you can.
Yeah, for sure. I understand that. My doggie is not liking the fact that I shut the door on her and won't let her come in while we're recording, so she keeps scratching at the door. But yeah, just and it's not going to be any more help going to Ford Field and playing on that field, because that's just as bad as playing on uh, uh, what's the Giants Stadium? Is that MetLife?
MetLife, yeah.
Yeah. So that is a big concern, but yeah, I mean, I like you said earlier, this is probably the healthiest the Packers will be rolling into a game, and I think I agree with you on something you pointed out earlier in the season, that I think the Packers are listing a lot of these injuries just so they don't get in trouble.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think
So
that we've seen the Falcons, I think it was, get a draft pick dock this season. The Ravens had that whole situation with Lamar Jackson, and then I think there
did
was
the Falcons get a lose a pick? I know they got fined like $100,000 or something like that.
I thought they lost a pick too, or it was, I can't remember if they did, or if the like Pelissero and Rappaport tweets were just saying like draft pick fine may also come into play or some shit like that. So I can't totally remember. I know the Ravens only got fined, which was pretty like bullshit, honestly, when you think about it, because like that's their starting quarterback, and I think the Falcons was like a rotational like defensive player kind of thing or something. I don't think it was even a starter. So yeah, I think the Packers are just like, okay, you want to see the books? We'll show you the books. like like we're not quite at the point of listing people as old like they were with like Bulaga towards the end of his tenure, but yeah, like, or Mercedes Lewis, but yeah, I think that I agree with you. They're like, you want us to pull our, want us to pull them down and show you what we got. We're gonna show you the whole ass at this point, but we've already gone through most of these matchups. You can check out the episode from week 1 because most of those are going to be true. I guess the only question will be like who starts at corner. I don't know if Hobbs is back at this point.
I think who was it that said it? Was it? I'm pretty sure somebody said that he was guaranteed to not play too.
Got it.
But I could have misread that, and that was just speculation. But I think I saw it on the Elon machine that somebody said that he's probably going to be out again.
Yeah, because I know that when he first like got hurt, it was like a 3-ish, maybe 4-week thing. So we're like on week 3 to 4, like, and it's a short week and stuff. So yeah, I can see them like playing it cautious with him, playing it cautious with Lucas, giving Lucas that extra time back and stuff. But otherwise, I think the Packers should be mostly healthy. But anything else on this one? I feel like more than anything, it's those kind of injuries, and just hopefully the Packers have refound their pass rush. Hafley has kind of identified what's going to work for this team. My big key defensively for the Packers is you just got to fit the run good. The Giants were up with a chance to win that game against the Lions, and they blew it because they couldn't fit their run gaps on defense. The Packers, that was one of their superpowers in week 1, and for the first like third of the season, is like there's no like bona fide run stopper on this defense, or like any one guy that you're like, that's the reason they stopped the run. It was they were really disciplined in their run fits. They were playing fast to the ball. We've seen that slip over the past couple weeks. So we'll see how they do playing on turf against the Lions. But they got to come with their A game in that regard between the ears, and just really have all their be on their P's and Q's this week.
Sorry, I was kind of looking to see if I could find it again. No, I guess they had him listed as limited, so there was nothing really. I thought I read something that said Hobbs was probably not going to play, but oh well. No, I really don't have anything more to add with the injury reports. I was looking at how each team ranked stat wise, and it's going to be a pretty interesting game overall because the according to the AI on Google, the Lions are fourth in points per game, and the Packers are fifth in points allowed per game. So it's going to be interesting to see how that matches up. I think you're going to have to do what they did against JJ. Now, obviously, Goff is playing a lot better and is looking like the better option at quarterback than JJ McCarthy is. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still time for JJ to do whatever JJ is going to do, but, right now, he's
not
not.
great.
Yeah. But Goff is one of those that, I mean, any quarterback really, even though Jordan has looked, if you look at like the advanced stats, he's like the best there is under pressure from the blitz. But you get pressure on a quarterback, they're going to make mistakes. And with the
you saw
guys
it from Jordan in the Eagles game, like you saw it, like yeah.
So if you can get Goff rattled, then you should have no issues. And it goes, if you can give them the same game plan as you did against Minnesota, where don't play the soft zone, rush as many guys, get your pass rush going. Hopefully Quay and Edrin are able to, Cooper can stay in there, even maybe throw Tyron Hopper in there. Nothing against Isaiah, because Isaiah had a heck of a game, but those three are more of can cover the field, whereas I've said Isaiah has always been more of a downhill guy than anything else. So that'd stop Montgomery and Gibbs getting loose. So just be smart about it. Don't give up the easy stuff. Make them earn everything they get.
Make Goff feel the heat and make him fit the ball into the windows, especially because you're in the dome. Like, don't just give him the easy stuff. So I agree. I think we're gonna be able to tell how this game's gonna go pretty early on, kind of like week one, where it was like that first 3 and out on defense. It was like, oh, like they can't run the ball, and Goff is rattled already, kind of thing. Like he saw Micah do his inside rip move, and it was all like, it's like, oh, okay, that's how it's gonna be today, kind of thing. So you want to see.
And now Micah has more time in the defense.
Yeah,
that was Micah coming in doing, having almost no time in this scheme.
And we weren't sure how much he was gonna play that in week one,
right?
Too. So yeah,
so yeah. It's going to be something else, but I think that's about all I got on the injury report, stuff like that, and matchups.
Yep. All right.
I do have some over-unders real quick, so let me hit the button.
Excuse!
Wrong button. That button.
Never tell me the odds.
So I've got a few of them here that I kind of had to do some looking just to see what I wanted to set it at. I have an idea why I set this one, what I did, but I put Love over under 250 and a half throwing.
I'm gonna go under, actually. I think they're gonna be able to do some stuff against this Lions defense, and I think that he's gonna end up with like 220 or something like that. But like, they'll still be able to be in control of the game, kind of thing.
And see, I think I'm going to go over, and kind of the similar thought that you have, but I think that it's going to end up being kind of like the Washington game, where they're going to get ahead, and then the Lions are going to do something to kind of get back into it, and then Jordan's going to have to go out and do some more to get back into a bigger lead than what they had. And I think Matt is starting to see that, hey, maybe I just need to let my quarterback do what he can do. So, and let's face it, if he does get Golden back, if he does get Reed back, that's a lot of targets right there, and that's a lot of mismatches right there, and especially if we're almost guaranteed Joseph's out. There's a possibility Terry and Arnold's going to be out. There's a possibility that Branch, even though it has him listed as a full, could be out. We don't know how that's going to work out, how their secondary is going to work out. So that's a lot of mismatches. So I am going to say he's going to hit about 275.
All right.
This one's kind of hopefulness more than anything, but I got Micah set for 1.5 sacks.
I'm going under. I think he's gonna get one, but I think that his presence is gonna lead to Goff dirting a lot of balls.
And that's more impossible. I think he is gonna get 2. One's gonna come in like a garbage moment where it's Goff is just trying to make a play and Mike is gonna get him. He really turned it on against Minnesota. And if Detroit's line is as beat up as Minnesota's is, then I think Mike is going to feast. Unless, let's face it, you can go through and watch or not watch it, but see the clips that people are making where Micah was fighting off triple teams and still getting what he needed to get. And if the Lions' offensive line comes in with a ton of backups on it, yeah, he's going to feast. This one, I don't know. It's all going to depend on the injuries going in. I've got Emmanuel Wilson over under 30.5 yards.
I'm going to go over just because I think he's going to break one. Like, more than, like, they're going to limit Jacobs, because I do think Jacobs is going to get his 20 carries, because I do think, like you said, they put him on bubble wrap intentionally, focusing on this game and all that kind of stuff. But I think I just have this feeling that it's been an eyesore that they don't have a 20-yard rush and stuff. I think Wilson is going to get that rush this week, and honestly, it might not even be like a run. It might be one of those like swing passes that are like truly backwards kind of thing. But I do think Wilson is going to break one, and like hopefully he'll get some garbage time carries where we're up, and he's going to get over it. So yeah, I think it's going to be like more of a backdoor cover kind of thing, but I think he's going to go over.
Yeah, I don't know. I set it at 30.5 because we know Josh Jacobs is going to play as much as he can, whether LaFleur likes it or not. Josh is kind of doing the Brett Favre thing where, they bring him out because they need to check him for a concussion, and they turn around. Next thing you know, he's out there, throwing another touchdown or whatever. So Josh is kind of like that, and you can see it on his face a lot of times too. And I think they're going to try to rotate in a little bit with Brooks. I think they are going to get a little cutesy when it comes to like end arounds and shit like that. So I'm going to take over, but yeah, I'm really slight on that. Maybe 35 rushing yards, but he could get involved in the passing game a little bit more. So that could. So I have it set for rushing yards. So that's where I'm at on that. Watson over under 45.5 receiving.
I got it over. You're seeing him be more of our contributor. You saw how he did tear up this Detroit secondary back, not Thanksgiving last year, but the week after Thanksgiving last year. He's getting healthier, and especially if Joseph doesn't play, he has numbers against this secondary, and it doesn't really matter which of the corners is covering him and stuff. I do think they're going to try and take some deep shots with him. I hope they try to set the tone like they did a couple years ago on Thanksgiving with an early deep shot. And even if you don't hit it, like it's just like, yeah, we're going to do it. So yeah, I think they're going to hit a big one, and I've got him at 85.
So you can look at this one of two ways. This could be like the whole reverse jinx, like we try to do, or this could be wishful thinking that the ball's going to get spread around. I'm going to say he's going to be under, just because, like I said earlier, if Rita's back, if Golden's playing, if all these guys are playing, the ball's going to have to be spread around. And I just think that if Rita's back, even if on limited snaps, is going to see some targets go his way. So I think and that's not to say Watson's not going to get his too. I think the bulk of it is going to be spread around. I'm hoping this is going to be one of those games where Jordan hits like 9 or 10 different receivers for yardage, and we go from there. So I think I'm going to take the under on that. And this one is not more over or under. This is just kind of wishful thinking at this point. Will Matthew Golden get his first receiving touchdown?
No, I'm going full reverse jinx. No, he will not.
And I'm going to keep going with it. Even if he was on IR, I would still say yes, because I've got to believe. I'm ride or die with this kid, because I feel the bond, because I made the call. I shot my shot and that with this kid before the draft. So I got to roll with it.
And I'm going reverse jinx, just like I said. I'm going no until it happens, just because I do think it is one of those, like, once they get the first one, I think there's gonna just be a fountain of like production that's gonna come with it. I think that it's one of those like break the ice kind of thing, and the rest will follow. So I agree with you. I hope it happens.
And let's face it, they haven't really been scheming him too much. So
No,
one, he's been dealing with some ticky-tack injuries, and two, I just don't know if they know how to deal with him yet.
I think it's not. I think the problem is they know, but they want him to be playing Dobbs's position, and I think that's the rub. Is like, you can't take Dobbs off the field yet, but but at the same time, that's the stuff you want Golden doing, because he's obviously not as like sturdy of a physical build as Dobbs is, but the kind of separation he can create on the routes that Dobbs is running for you, plus the hands. And I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to jinx the kid, but oh god, knock on wood, I take it back. But yeah, I think that's the quote unquote disconnect, is that you're like grooming him to take that position over from Dobbs next year, kind of thing.
I get that, but I still think that's because they don't know how to properly use him. Because I don't think he's quite that Dobbs type, because yeah, he should be doing more of what Dobbs is doing, and Dobbs needs to be more the reliable, that the old reliable guy that you can throw to, and you're going to get however many yards you need. Whereas Golden does need to be used as the weapon. He needs to be, he needs to be used as to run the routes, to get open, to take the deep shots. And I just don't know if not saying they don't know how to use him, because obviously they're NFL coaches. They know how to use their players when they need, but I don't think they've opened their eyes enough to see, hey, maybe we should be doing this with the kid instead of this.
Yeah. Like, don't run any more screen passes for him. Like, stop doing that and stuff. Like, and the problem, so many people, and this will be the last thing I've got for tonight, but so many people are like, oh, just draw the route up for him. But I'm like, yeah, but when opposing teams see him, I know he hasn't quote unquote done much, but they look at him and they're like, okay, like, they're gonna do something with that guy. And so, like, as much as you're trying to like use a play concept to scheme a guy open, sometimes the defense overplays it, because they're like, well, obviously, like, it's the like reverse decoy thing where it's like the Packers are trying to do like the nothing to see here, like just play it straight up, and the opposing defense are like, well, obviously, and like the opposing coordinators overthink this shit all the time, but they're like, oh my god, they left him as the isolated receiver on the backside. They're obviously like they're obviously like drawing the coverage away, so we need to overload to his side, or oh my god, he's the slot in a bunch formation. Like they're obviously gonna do something where he's gonna run some kind of like quick out or something like that, and they overplay that, and then it's like, oh, like how come Watson's running wide open down the field? And it's like because a safety decided to buzz up on a flat route for no reason, kind of thing. And so,
well, here's what they need to do. They need to do my favorite play when I'm playing Madden or college football 25 or whatever. You have 2 streaks, you have 2 in slants, and then you have your tight end run a crosser. Because you'd have Golden and Watson as your 2 streaks, and then you'd have your 2 interior slants, and then you'd have your crosser. So that would disrupt the second. I run those plays all the friggin' time because I know it's against a computer or whatever, but it crosses them up because what do you do with your deep safety? You can't go after both your speed guys. What do you do with your corners? Well, if they can't catch your speed guys, what the hell what are you going to do with it? So that's what they got to do. Send it in, Matt.
But that's all I got. You got anything else, or were you going to put a bow on this for tonight?
Well, with this being the Thanksgiving game and all stuff like that, we probably should say what we're thankful for and do the whole cliche shit. So do it. I want to hear it.
I'm thankful for my family, thankful for my loving wife who lets me do this show, thankful for my kids who just bring joy and enrichment to my life, and yeah, I'm thankful.
Pain, suffering, sickness.
And I almost forgot almost forgot one really important one. I'm thankful for my wonderful co-host who really is the one who puts the show on, and I am just here to talk. So, Joe, your turn.
Well, obviously it's the same shit. I'm very. First off, I gotta say I'm thankful for Nick, because without Nick, it wouldn't have got me back into doing this. And even though he went off to do his own stuff, and I'm thankful that you were able to step in and take that spot from him and continue on with this. But I am also thankful for your wife and kids, because they allow you the time to sit here and mess around with me on this shit. And they allow you, even though we do get the run in from the kids once in a while, which is great and all that stuff, they pretty much give you your time to do what we're doing and try to build what we're doing. So, and, I'm thankful, even though there's not a lot of them out there, for the people who actually listen to this crap, because without people actually listening to it,
all 36 of you, thank you.
So I am. And, of course, I'm thankful for my dog, even though she's a pain in the ass and shit like that. So she's like having a kid
down here right now.
So that's the cliche shit. But yes, I am. Your family has been very supportive in all this stuff, because they allow you to sit here and talk with me about the Green Bay Packers and shit.
Yep. So we hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We hope we hope that the Packers oblige us and make this Thanksgiving an extra happy one for all of us too. But
this is 11 a.m., right?
Yes,
is that when the game starts?
Okay, yeah, okay. They're the early game. So, yeah, we hope that we hope the Packers oblige all of us, and don't ruin Thanksgiving for the rest of all of us. But we will have
to work after the game anyway, so it's all right.
We'll have the recap show coming out. We'll record it on Sunday. It'll come out on Tuesday, but
Monday.
My bad. For Iowa Joe,
that's how much I do around here. He just comes on and talk. I take care of all the rest.
That's why I'm thankful for him. But from all of us here at Ohana Packers Edition, we want to say happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the game. Go Pack Go, and aloha.
Green Bay hustle, grind it up. Hit the field, we don't bluff. Touchdown dances, feel the love. Jordan's got that MVP stuff. It's time for the let's go. Packers bringing that show. It's time for who wanna go, gonna glow.